Next, another band Radio 2 have a long history with. They've performed at Hyde Park, the Blackwood Miners Institute, and recently did an amazing sofa session for me. It was an absolute joy to watch the Manic Street Preachers take to the stage at St David's Hall in Cardiff recently, and I asked James and Nicky how they felt about their first live audience gig in a very long time.
I mean, we've been in some odd situations throughout our career, to say the least. From, having Kylie in the dressing room to Castro, but nothing is as odd and surreal as what's happening at the moment. So we're really nervous. Well, I am in particular.
What are you nervous about?
Just realising how much we've played and relied on our reflexes as a band. So from when we started rehearsing, myself and Nick, in my living room in Pontefraith, when we first did our little rehearsal and writing the song in 1986, you kind of develop an understanding of how you do things and you don't think about it. And suddenly, like today when we did this sound check, you are thinking about it. And then aging comes into it, you can't deny it. So all those things thrown in, you're like, oh, wow, how do I do that one-legged move I do all the time? If I
still do that one-legged
move? So just overthinking things, I think, comes into play a bit.
Yeah. But I'm fairly confident for you that it will kick in and muscle memory will be there and it'll be a flawless performance.
I don't believe in a flawless performance.
Thank you, Coach.
It's fine. Fighting talk, clear heart, yeah, all that. And so this St David's Hall, I'd love to know what it means to you. This is going to be a historic performance for you and playing in this place.
Well, my first experience here, which was a brilliant one, was watching the home international darts, Wales versus Scotland, when darts was really bad in a good way, not when it was all glitzy. And I loved a Scottish darts player called Jockey Wilson, one of my heroes, obscure heroes. And I watched him from up by there. Wow. I went to get his autograph outside and he told me to politely off, which endeared me to him even more. I loved him more.
When it comes to gigs, which gigs have you seen here?
I've seen quite a lot here. Recently I've seen Echo and the Bunnymen here. Ian McCulloch had a bit of a whinge that night.
No, you don't say.
Stuart Lee, comedian, I've seen you twice. But in the 80s, I saw...
Waterboys?
Waterboys, yeah. So Gary Newman here twice.
Twice?
Sean was a bit of a Newmanite.
Berserker tour?
I bought a really, really good hooky kind of like a bootleg T-shirt outside. Spirit Destiny, The Alarm, lots here. So yeah, it's been cool. I think we may have saw Peppa Pig, the live production here with my kids as well.
Now we're talking highs, like career highs. And have you played here before?
We have.
Many times?
Well, only once. We did a weird sort of, when everyone had loads of sponsorship money to throw around in the noughties, we did an odd kind of gig here. But last time I was here, I saw my daughter on stage, actually.
What was she doing?
She was playing in an orchestra.
Wow.
Yeah, she's much more talented than me.
So you're playing on the same stage as your daughter?
Yeah, I'm following in her footsteps.
Better not mess it up. And you've busked here. Tell me about the circumstances in which you busked.
Well, this area here is called the Haze. And so this would be one of our patches around here. So we would just move around. And I think we busked in front of St David's Hall about 3 times.
Yeah.
It wasn't our usual patch. Our usual patch was 40 yards just down there by the graveyard.
Fitting.
Early goth tendencies kind of thing. But yeah, it was one of our patches and it was the first place I ever busked. And it is where we got our name. There were some homeless guys that used to sleep around here and got to know them over the course of the summer of
85, 86.
85. I was wondering when it would be, yeah.
Yeah. And it was, I don't know if I misheard them, but one day I turned up and I turned on my pitch quite early and they was like, oh, not the Manic Street Preacher again. And so I think that's what I heard them saying. It stuck in my head and that was the name.
There's like a holy triangle here with St David's Hall and then we'd get enough money to go to the Wimpy to get a burger and go to Spillers, which is just across the way there back then. Go to Spillers to buy some 7-inch, C86 indie classics. That made up a good day. And if it was international, when they bought the £2 coin in and the pound coin, that was brilliant because when people were hammered on, say, Rugby International Day, you'd start to make some serious money.
Takings would be amazing. Was this on weekends that you did this? Did you have other jobs in the... What were you doing in the week?
I thought that summer that we left school was the summer of 85, I think. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that first summer, I just came down here just trying to hone my skills.
And what were you doing? What were you singing at that time?
I was singing...
Villiers Terrace.
Villiers Terrace, Echo and the Bunnymen, just lots of indie stuff. My generation, The Who, Garage Land, Clash, Billy Bragg, To Have and To Have Not by Billy Bragg. Lots of stuff, really just lots and lots of stuff.
The one that really got the money in on Rugby Day was La Bamba.
Yeah.
He would do an amazing... I couldn't play it, and he would do this amazing... And people would be, checking their money in.
I mean, they have their arms around you and putting your guitar out of tune. You'd be like, go on, do the cheap seats, we need the money. Early tendencies were set in stone back then.
I kind of tagged along, to be honest. I was just playing on 3 or 4 songs and wandering about. James was the mainstay.
The one Buskin memory was that Steve Albini walking past us.
Steve Albini?
Yeah. And,
he was playing you with Big Black?
Might have been, or one of his other bands. And he walked past us and literally, he looked at us and it was him, absolutely.
Had his hat on.
And he looked at us and he went, oh, God. And then years later we worked with him and
we brought it up.
Yeah. And I told him the whole story and he went, I like to say that wasn't me, but it probably was.
So when it came to putting your set list together for tonight, I mean, that's hard because you've got the new album coming out and obviously your desire is just to play all those songs, but also, you want to give people the big hits as well. So what can we expect?
Yeah, it is really difficult. Obviously, it's a limited audience, I gather, tonight. So it's just unlimited time, but there's something from our first album and something from our last album and a bit in between. We could have done a lot more, but we did rehearse yesterday in a local venue called the Tram Shop. And we just packed it in at 4:00. Everyone the crew were like, are you doing it again? We were like, that's it. We played way too long today.
Yeah. Sometimes you can overdo things,
Oh,
can't
my
you?
God, we didn't want to leave it all in the...
Yeah, you don't leave it all on the stage, do you?
Nah.
You want to keep some in reserve for the proper thing.
Yeah. So it's spontaneous and you've got the energy and the adrenaline.
Yeah.
As our manager says, this is time and place of spontaneity.
That's why he's still your manager after all these years.
It is.
BBC Radio 2.